What's up, y'all? Thank you for coming to Humphrey House, and this is your girl Free. And if you're new here, please subscribe to the channel below. Press that red button below.
So today's video will be strictly dedicated what us as Black people can do to enforce change. Free. This is Andre, my husband. We all know what's going on, and it's devastating and heartbreaking. And last week, I think as soon as I heard about George, I uploaded a video to YouTube where I was like very emotional, after discussing it, with him. I made it private. It's just for me, I just wanted to go on to show people that I'm human and I have emotions as well, and I just wanted to show something real instead of scripted or just the typical content I put out. Today people are dedicating today to Blackout Tuesday, and if you're not aware, Blackout Tuesday is not to mute us completely, not to flood the hashtag Black Lives Matter with blackout screens. Basically, you're supposed to put hashtag Blackout Tuesday, and you're supposed to, support everything Black, support all things Black, Black businesses, Black movements, Black Congress, Black voting, Black YouTubers like me, Black creators, Black, anything Black. Anything you can think of that a Black person is doing, support them. Black resources, mental health resources, anything. Support Black movements. So again, it's to buy Black, support Black businesses, amplify Black voices in the movement, donate to Black organizations. If you want to donate to a good cause, choose a Black one. Don't post everyday content, post something dedicated to supporting Black Lives Matter. So what is one thing you think that Black people can do if they want change in the community, they want change in this world, they want to change how we are treated, they want to change racial injustices? What are some things you think?
I mean, some of the things that I think that Black people can do in order to enforce some change would one be is to practice group economics. And that's a term that is coined by Dr. Claude Anderson, and he has a book called Powernomics that you should definitely check out. It gives a whole detailed floor plan on how we as Black people can create the change that we need in America. It gives out timelines that we can actually work towards. It gives all kind of detailed plans on some of the tools that we need, like our own media outlets. Like I said, practicing group economics, which means buying and selling to each other. So keeping our money within our community. As we know, the Black community has a hard time keeping its money within itself. Unlike many other races, the Black community keeps its money within its community probably a couple hours, they say.
We're quick to run to Starbucks.
Right.
We're quick to run to Target.
Exactly.
We're quick to run to Walmart.
But not to just, take that out of context. We also got to remember that we live in America, and in America there's systemic plans put in place to keep us at bay. So you look at a lot of the terms that they use when they give out minority loans. So they use the term minority, and it's applied generally across the board for everybody that is not who is part of the majority, which is white. However, when they implemented that, it was supposed to be just for Black people. Now, when they did that, they started allowing other people from other parts of the world to come in, migrate into America. So when they migrated here in America, they now are a minority as well. So they're entitled to these loans as well. A lot of times what happens is that these minorities outside of African Americans who were here during the time that slavery occurred and everything, they were entitled to these loans faster than some of us African Americans were. And then they started implementing all kind of other systemic tools like, credit, which also depends on where you're born in the neighborhood. Started doing redlining. A lot of people don't even know about the redlining aspect, is when they limited to where Black people can purchase homes. And then they decided to drive highways in between those communities, in which made them ghettos. And that's why initially Black people were outside the city, and then they moved us to the city. Now they want their city back. So now they're moving gentrification. Now they're moving us, trying to push us back out of the city.
So one thing that we can do is group economics. Learn more about group economics, research it, figure out how you can support that and how you can make a difference within group economics. What can you do to keep the money within the Black community? What can you do, like he stated, for example, buying a media outlet. Black people need to buy media outlets so that we can push the correct narrative that is putting out there in the world, because oftentimes we don't know what's going on. Do we know to believe everything that the media is conveying to us or showing to us? That's all we know, because we're not out there. We only can see what's on TV. So it's important for us to have that representation in the media so that we change the narrative, really.
Right. And we also got to take into consideration too that when we do find someone who is able to create a media platform, like a social media platform like Facebook or something, to where we can come get a lot of our information from, we as Black people have to use it.
Yeah.
The problem is people who have tried to create social media platforms that no one wants to use because it's unfamiliar, it's outdated, the tools and functionality of it just isn't as smooth as seamless as some of the up-to-date programs and software platforms like Instagram, Facebook, Twitter. All these conglomerate social media platforms that basically occupy most of the social platforms that we use. So we gotta, as Black people, we have to be willing to go out and work with each other despite the hardships that we might have to deal with, as far as not being accustomed to some of the norm that we are now with using products and getting services from those who are offering that are not Black. We got to also remember that these people have a number one resource that makes them successful as they are, and which is money. Black people in America and pretty much almost across the world are poor. And it's not just as simple as because Black people are, these volatile people that want to come around and rape and steal, kill, and do all this crazy stuff that the media tries to feed you. It's because Black people, if we want to be honest with ourselves, we are the most forgiving and loving people on this planet. We want to take on everybody else's burden. And when we take on everybody else's burden, we put our burdens to the back burner. And then we want everyone else to take our issues just as strongly as we take theirs, but they're not going to do that. So we have to start taking our own issues and taking up for ourselves before we're willing to take out a handout from anyone else. People don't like beggars. So when people think about Black people, a lot of times they think about us as beggars. They see us as these people that just want a handout. That's why they also always associate us with food stamps, when we also already know that white people are the biggest recipients of food stamps in the United States. But however, this is how the media portrays us, as these begging people who don't want to work hard but just want a handout.
Let's recap. We said group economics. Learn more about group economics and what you can do to support that. Number 2 was not ask for handouts. We have to create our own shit.
Get our own media platforms.
Get our own media platforms. Push the narrative that we want, to be pushed. How we want to be portrayed, basically. We have to get our own media outlets for that. Yeah,
we want to stop asking for handouts. We want to use what we can use together and stop going to these banks. And if we can, go to a Black-owned bank. If we don't want to go to a Black-owned bank, then create a syndication, essentially, which would be getting a group of people, a group of us, all collaborating and putting some money in together to build something. They use that term syndication when they use it for commercial property, where a group of investors come together in a purchase of the property. We can do that as a group of just regular folks, putting $100, $200 together, 200, 100 of us. We can get some property and establish some businesses and start paying people, and stop looking at these people to hire us and looking at these people to fund us in some form, shape, or form, because they don't want to do it. And they're tired of doing it, and they looking at us like we're just these people that wants that type of subsidy. And that's not necessarily true. It's just sometimes that we don't take into consideration when we look into crime, and especially in the Black community, that we gotta look into economics. So when you look at the Black community, they're poor. White communities and other middle class communities, they're not. So it's unfamiliar to them. So they're not aware of what goes on in our community, and they look at us like we're these hostile people. But hostility comes from a lack of economics. Anywhere you go in the world where there's poverty, there's going to be violence. There's going to be crime. But when there's some shape or form of wealth or equity across the board with wealth, then it's not as much crime as it is with those areas that people are fighting for their food. People are stealing for it just to have the same thing or similar to their neighbor or whatnot. We have to always remember that, you know, we suffer from post-traumatic stress. And when we suffer from post-traumatic stress, you know, they'll try to tell us that it's not a real thing for us, and because we have our success stories, we have our Jay-Z's, we have our, P. Diddy's, these self-made billionaires and millionaires that came from the same neighborhoods that we came from, but they were afforded an opportunity that some of us are not. They still struggle with it too, you know, and you can't say that they don't when you hear it in their music and their lyrics. I mean.
So speaking of PTSD, you said we have PTSD as a community, as a Black community as well. Most people think that only us being veterans, most people do think that you have to be in the military, and that's the only way that you can be diagnosed with PTSD, but that's not true. You can have PTSD from getting raped. You can have PTSD from, you know, getting abused or fighting all your life, or, you know, the community, the Black community can have PTSD just from through the ancestral, you know, history of our lineage. You know, we come from a place where PTSD is prevalent within our community, and, you know, looking back at slavery.
Yes, we're a group of people that when they look at our history, they always reflect to slavery, to these servile people that just want to just be slaves and just were whipped and come for nothing. That's what we know of ourselves here in America. That's what they describe to us in the history books. So that also comes into play when we think about ourselves. Now we associate ourselves with being less than equal to our white counterparts or our Asians or whatever, because this is our storyline. All I know from your storyline is greatness. Our storyline is I'm poor, I'm here, I was a slave, and now I'm free.
Right.
We have a couple heroes, and the heroes here in America, they either died or got killed. So that's why so many of them right now, they love drug dealers. Those are our modern day heroes. Those are the people that we see with success.
Right. So speaking of PTSD, another thing that we can do as Black people is to seek mental health, like therapy. You know, I think today therapy is becoming normalized more often than in the past, you know, within the Black community. Before, people was like, oh, don't tell your business to no strangers or not, but I think mental health and therapy is getting pushed as a whole, and for the future generation growing up, it's just going to be something normal. So if you are experiencing any symptoms of PTSD, I will link some resources that you can reach out to. One of the podcasts, and she has a Facebook that I follow, Black Therapy for Black Girls. I enjoy that, and they provide great resources. So if you're looking for one, check that one out. So what is something else that we can do as a community to better our community?
Really, truly, like I stated earlier, the best thing we can really do is look at some of these books that I just one of the books I described earlier, which is Powernomics. It's one of the books that's right up here. By Dr. Clyde Anderson. It has a really detailed plan that can really illustrate everything out in plain, words, so we can all understand it. It's a really great tool. If you don't want to listen to it, he also has a YouTube channel. I'll also listen to Dr. Boyce Watkins as well. He's also a great resource of information, and he gives a lot of financial information that's going to help benefit the Black community. So I would look at some of these resources really and truly to really figure out a better way of doing things, because right now we can see protesting doesn't work. Protesting does nothing but bring awareness, and awareness doesn't do anything because we are hoping that someone's going to be empathetic with our plead. So now we have to create our change ourselves. We can't hope for change. We have to create the change.
That was one thing that I pointed out in the last video that I posted. I said no matter how many times we protest on petitions, you know, it's the same thing, the same pattern keep occurring. You know, so we have to find a different approach. If what we've done for so long has not worked and these people still are doing the same thing, you know, we have to find something different.
Right. We got to definitely do something different, and we have to do something different soon.
Because this king right here, he be reading. And if there's any businesses, organization, brands that you're following on social media that are silent during this time, you might want to reevaluate why you're following them. Because at this point, silence means they're on the side of the oppressor.
Yep.
You know, so get rid of them, unfollow them, stop supporting them. If they're silent, if they're not making a change, yes, we want to see them posting the black box, black for Blackout Tuesday, but we also want to know, what are you doing beyond this? What are you doing beyond posting the black square? What is your organization doing behind the scenes to ensure that you have black voices that are a part of your organization and that are speaking up for us? You know, what are you doing beyond social media? You know, so if they're not making any adjustments beyond that, then to hell with them.
Like Dr. Martin Luther King said, there comes a time when silence becomes betrayal. So anybody who thinks that it's okay to just remain silent, they're betraying themselves if they're black, and they're betraying black people if they're not. So we have to come up and we have to talk about it. This has to be a conversation that has to be held, because we have overlooked it for so many years, thinking we're in a post-racial era when that is far from the truth. We have white nationalists coming on TV stating that it's imperative for them to save the white race by slowing down the races in America entering America. But if you look at a lot of actions that are happening, it is to eliminate the threat. And the threat is
us.
No, the threat is us, but the threat is also losing power. When you become a minority, there's not a minority in this country that has more power than anybody here that's white. I don't care if you're Asian, I don't care if you're Indian or whatever. They're still powerful. There's no minority that's black that has any power, period. And whites, they know if they become the minority, they will no longer have power.
Okay, so.
And they will lose their legacy. We have to make sure that we realize that it's not as simple as we think it's going to be. This is a well thought out plan that these people had. And you can look up videos from 2-3 years ago from this dude named Jared Taylor, who's a white nationalist, who has a whole webpage where he's getting millions and millions of whites coming to it, and they're enjoying his content that he's presenting, which is basically saving the white race. He has disgusting words to say about black people and what he feels about black people. So I would definitely check that out, because he even states in there specifically, he chose to vote for Trump because of his agenda to save the white race. If you think black people have gone too far with this theory of that, there's still racism going on, and then there's white people that want to kill black people, because there's a lot of white people who are naive to it because they're not exposed to it. You know what I mean? So they don't understand why we feel the way we feel.
But there are white people out there supporting this movement and having a voice, and they're out there protesting, out there, standing up to racist cops, standing up to, just racist people in general. So we appreciate you, and keep using your voice. Your voice matters. Your voice matters. So thank you to those that are not black who are out there supporting the Black Lives Matter movement and using your voice.
Yes, most definitely. Thank you, because we are all allies in this situation. Because it's not going to be just black people who's going to be impacted by this. It's going to be everybody. Whites, black, Asians, whoever. Because now it's just about the rich. They make it's about racism as well, but it's mainly about the rich, who has the most power. And the term race is exactly what it is for everybody. It's a race. So whoever can get there first, and whatever we race it for, that's wealth. So whoever can remain wealthy and stay wealthy, and that's what they're trying to keep.
So when it's all said and done, black people are black king and queens. You are appreciated. You are loved. You know, you are supported. You know, just what the media is putting out, disregard that. Don't pay attention to that. Know that we are stronger together and we can accomplish anything that we want. We take over anything that we put our minds to. You know, we think about it. Tiger Woods, golf. Serena Williams, tennis. Basketball, obviously. There's hundreds and
we run basketball, we run
NFL, hockey, whatever we want to do. Investing, banking, whatever we want to do. It does not have to just be sports. Whatever we put our minds to, we excel at, and that's a fact.
Yep, and there's so much greatness that Black people bring to the United States or to the world in general. I mean, some things we don't even know that we've accomplished because they write the history books.
Right.
Winners write the history books, not the losers. So we have to remember that when information is passed or given to us about our history, it's not ourselves giving it to us. So they're not going to tell us about our greatness. They're not going to inform us of all the accomplishments that we've done and what we've created. They're not going to tell you that we taught them how to bathe. They're not going to tell you that we taught them how to read, write, and do all that other stuff. They're not going to say any of that stuff because to them, they want us to remain thinking that we are below them. They are superior. In their minds, they want to believe the superior. And this is when I'm referring to those who are a racist and who claim they're nationalists. They feel that they are superior. And with them thinking that they're superior, they think you are inferior. So it's just as simple as that. And we have to hold ourselves knowing that we are great, regardless of what they try to say. You know what I mean?
Right.
No matter what they try to say, we are kings and queens. When we walking down the street, we shouldn't be walking and worried about if they're going to cross the street or clutch their purse. Nah, we should do it right back to them. Clutch our purse. Right. Get scared. Get fearful. Let's show them how it feels to be feared unnecessarily. They fear us just because of our skin tone, because they think that we are these volatile, strong people that will just go and rape and do whatever. But they don't realize that we all part of what they say was one race, is the human race. And we all are just human beings. We're loving people.
The same blood.
Yep. We got families, we got everything. We all different culturally.
Right. When it's also
how I interact with my wife, it's not going to be the same way how a white person or an Asian person or whoever else decides to interact with their wife, unless we're in the same culture. Now, if I'm in the same culture of them, they're gonna resemble each other. But Black people, we come from a different culture. We are crucified for being too loud. We're crucified for being too ghetto. We're crucified for the way we dress. We're crucified for the way we wear our hair. We're crucified for all these different things. But when we look out, step back, everybody's doing what we do. But they aren't crucified for it because they want you to continue to believe that we bring nothing to the table but just drama and entertainment. But we are much greater than that. We are the greatest influencers on this planet. Believe that.
Yeah. If you've made it this far in the video, we truly appreciate you. Go ahead and hit that subscribe button for more videos like this with, this power couple talking to you guys. We are stronger together, and we have to find a way, Black people, we have to find a way to collectively come together. Thank you guys for watching us. Like I said 3 times already, Andre is really passionate about this stuff. He can go on for days, but we just gonna keep this video. I'm gonna try to keep it like less than 25 minutes. So we will put all of the links, all of the resources he stated today, all of the research we find out about in the description box for you to check out. Thank you guys for continuing to support us at Humphrey House, and we appreciate it. Just remember that you are great and you can do anything that you put your mind to.
Black is beautiful. Black is great.